Our scripture for this morning comes to us from Exodus, the 16th chapter, beginning with verse 2. Moses and the children are trying to survive in the wilderness. The whole congregation of the Israelites complained against Moses and Aaron in the wilderness. The Israelites said to them, "If only we had died by the hand of the Lord in the land of Egypt, where, when we sat, if only we had died by the hand of the Lord in the land of Egypt, when we sat by the flesh pots and ate our fill of bread. For you have brought us out into this wilderness to kill this whole assembly with hunger." Then the Lord said to Moses, "I'm going to rain bread from heaven for you, and each day the people shall go out and gather in enough for that day. In that way I will test them whether they will follow my instruction or not. On the sixth day, when they prepare what they bring in, it will be twice as much as they gather on other days." So Moses and Aaron said to all the Israelites, "In the evening you shall know that it was the Lord who brought you out of the land of Egypt. And in the morning you shall see the glory of the Lord, because he has heard your complaining against the Lord. For what are we that you complain against us?" And Moses said, "When the Lord gives you meat to eat in the evening and your fill of bread in the morning, because the Lord has heard the complaining that you utter against him, what are we? Your complaining is not against us, but against the Lord." Then Moses said to Aaron, "Say to the whole congregation of the Israelites, 'Draw near to the Lord, for he has heard your complaining.'" And as Aaron spoke to the whole congregation of the Israelites, they looked toward the wilderness, and the glory of the Lord appeared in the cloud. The Lord spoke to Moses and said, "I have heard the complaining of the Israelites. Say to them, at twilight you shall eat meat, and in the morning you shall have your fill of bread. Then you shall know that I am the Lord your God." In the evening, quails came up and covered the camp. And in the morning there was a layer of dew around the camp. When the layer of dew lifted there on the surface, or landed there on the surface of the wilderness, was a fine flaky substance, as fine as frost on the ground. When the Israelites saw it, they said to one another, "What is it?" For they did not know what it was. Moses said to them, "It is the bread that the Lord has given you to eat." The bread problem. I want to bring up some illustrations to share with you. And so in Exodus chapter 16, we find that the children of Israel are worried and frightened about their food supply in the wilderness. And so at some point, they're going to be saying manna again, but also looking backwards. They were saying in their complaints, "We had more in Egypt." I do not know if they had a fast food chain or if Pharaoh owned one of those, but I'm sure they might name a restaurant Pharaoh's. And so maybe some people wanted to eat out. And then, of course, if they did have restaurants of that kind, would they have had toys and prizes to go with their kids' meals? And then finally, it seems in every tour group at the back of the bus, somebody is asking, "Are we there yet?" And of course, you can see Moses saying to his brothers, "See what I mean, Aaron? They're never quite happy." So along comes the manna solution. So we illustrate this differently. Here comes the manna, bread from the wilderness. It's a miracle. Wow, Moses, how did you do that? And then bread for the kiddies. And of course, our one friend, even though the bread is arriving, are we there yet? So we look at the complaining problem. I give credit where credit is due. Pastor James McDonald, in his book, Lord Change My Attitude, gave a good definition of complaining. Complaining is expressing dissatisfaction with a circumstance which is not wrong and about which I am doing nothing to correct. In other words, it's not broken, and I am complaining anyway. That's my paraphrase from Lord, Change My Attitude. Example A, I order a hamburger. I get a cheeseburger. I ask for a new burger, no cheese. Maybe I have dairy issues. This is not complaining. This is filing a legitimate grievance. I expected one thing, I received something else. It creates a kind of grief process. Therefore, I need to offer a grievance to correct the situation. The burger was broken and it needed fixing. I did something about it. Example B, I order a hamburger. I wanted a runza. I complain. They should have guessed my order. This is complaining. We put that in red ink. In other words, I was not dealing straight, speaking plainly. So there was not something wrong with their situation. There's likely something wrong with my situation and saying what I want, speaking plainly. So the burger was not broken. I needed to make up my mind. Amazingly, this is not a copyrighted picture. I found an actual Runza illustration online that was in common domain. Example C, let's get to the Israelites. We wanted to escape Pharaoh. God set us free with the Red Sea miracle. But then now I don't trust God for bread. Here we are in the wilderness and I'm not trusting God. So this moves into the complaining category. How soon we forget our faith. Here God performed the miracle of the Red Sea and other miracles done back in Egypt. All of these things, God showed God's ability, and the Israelites forget already. God helped them over and over again. So we come to the life application on the learning curve. Yes, there are a lot of things wrong these days. They are too numerous to list. Grieving these things is okay. Something is wrong. We need to do our grief process. Doing something about them is okay. If we can help make this world a better place and we can do something about it, excellent. Also, if we're in the grief process over the things that cause worry, anxiety, frustration, if we try and do something positive at one or more of the things that might be wrong these days, we're making a move and we're stepping away from merely complaining. So again, we compare this whether things are right or wrong. If we get too much into the whining and doing nothing, we are at least halfway to the complaining side of the equation. One of the things that we can always do in all circumstances of life, we can always take it to the Lord in prayer. This is certainly something the Israelites needed to remember when they were in the wilderness, whether they were worried about Pharaoh's army, bread, or water. Whatever was their concern, God's door was always open. And so this is the life application for us today.